I'm Ferd and welcome to my workshop. I got a Milwaukee Hammer drill, and the problem with it is when you pull the trigger on it, it just barely runs, but it does run. So what I'm thinking is that there's something wrong up in the head of it. And where I start the video, I'm actually already at that point. It's disassembled. I found the problem, and then I'm going to show you what it is and how to fix it, and then show you how to put it back together again. It comes apart the same way that it gets put back together, so it saves a lot of time for you having to sit there and watch me tear this thing apart. They're real easy to get into. So I hope this helps somebody if you have any problems with it, and let's get this thing fixed. Okay, I'm starting at this point right here, where I've already taken the gears out of the head of the drill, and what I've found is that the piston is damaged. Now this actually just slides over top of the piston, and the piston rides up and down inside this cylinder in here, but I can't get it back on there. I mean, it just slides on there and it just pops right off. I had a heck of a time getting it off of there because it's scarred up pretty bad. And then also up inside is another part of the piston up in here, and I want to get that out of there. And to do that, just going to take me a center punch, put it down in the middle, and tap it a few times with a hammer, and then there it is. And it has a little O-ring on it. Make sure that thing's okay, and then you can look up inside the cylinder and see how bad the damage is up there. This is steel, so aluminum's not gonna scratch the steel, but what I did find is there's a little chunk missing on the side of the wall in there, and probably a defect in the steel that kind of broke loose, and that's what got loose and chewed this piston up real bad. So if yours is cracked, or I'm going to try to sand this out and see if it'll last, because I've already got the piston over there, and if not, I'll have to buy a new one. These things are about $100. So I'm going to sand this down probably with about some 1200. Other than that, it's okay. And then I'm going to replace the piston. Then I could show you how to take the thing apart by putting this thing back together. Now, to get the piston out of it, you're going to need a number 25 Torx head, and over here on the sides, just push your grease back and you'll see 2 screws down in there. You just want to take those out. There's one on each side of it. And over here, and then we're going to lift this gear assembly up and out, and it looks like this. This little pin right here is what pushes the piston up and down inside of here. This thing will come out now. Now on your piston, there's a little pin that goes through here. There's two washers. There's one on each side of the pin. You can see the thing's chewed up pretty bad. Okay, I got all my parts all cleaned up. There was a lot of metal shavings in it, so it's important that you really want to do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and kind of pre-grease these things a little bit, and then we'll start putting it back together. Okay, one thing I want to kind of suggest to you is with the grease is I've got actual Milwaukee grease that's recommended for this particular drill, and I don't know if it's got the part number on the label there. It's S2. But anyway, I've tried in the past using other kinds of grease, lithium, and to find a cheap way out of it, and I've been unsuccessful at it. What'll happen if you don't use the right grease is you'll end up with a big mess outside of the gun. It gets really hot in there. It'll melt the grease and it'll find its way out, and it's like you're carrying around a grease gun. So unless you've found a type of grease that's a lot cheaper than this stuff, because this little tube's about $11, and I think it takes 3 or 4 of them to completely do the whole thing, so it can get rather expensive. Let me know if you find anything, and tell me how it works for you. So let me pre-grease this thing, and we'll start putting it back together. Okay, I got everything pre-greased, and I'm going to put this back up in there first. It's got a little O-ring goes on it. Put that back on, and then this is going to go up inside of here. Just drop it down in there and kind of center it up, and you should be able to just push it in there with your thumb. You heard it click. Okay, that thing's ready. The piston, your little washers have got 2 little dots in them, if you could see that, and you want them little dots to face inward. Got some grease on the piston to kind of hold them in place. If you don't, they'll fall out. We're going to slide our other little piece down in there. Just like that. So we could set this down in place. This is going to be in like a down position when you go in. And then fish it through that hole. I think I got it in there. And we're going to turn it just to make sure that this thing goes up and down, and then give this a little tug to make sure that it's on there right. I can see in there that my washer stayed in place, so this is installed. I'm going to get my 2 Torx heads and tighten this down. Snug that down. And then we got a big thrush washer. That's going to go right here over top of the piston. And then we'll grease that up some more. I've greased down inside the piston. The little thing that we popped up inside of here is going to slide down inside that with its O-ring. And then on the piston itself has a flat side to it right there. It doesn't matter which side that goes on. That's just a relief. So this thing should just slide over top of it fairly easy until you get to that washer. And to that O-ring, I'm sorry. And then just a little bit of maneuvering around and it should slide up in there fairly easy. Okay, and I could feel it going up and down inside there. And then right through these holes you can see where it's coming up, so it's working really good. Now I want to take the rest of my grease and just lube the heck out of it. Okay, I've taken a lot of the grease from the back side of the housing here and just pulled it off of there and then packed it all back on to this right here. That's just, most of it was still white. Okay, I got it in the hammer position, and I want to line this up with this little gear. Oh, it's you can see it up inside of here. So you may have to wiggle and jiggle it a little bit, but it'll go up in there. And it should just flop right into place, just like that. Okay, no screws go in here yet. So what we want to do now is put the head of it back on there. So I'm going to set it down. It might want to spring back up on you. First thing is the spring. The smaller end goes down, and then you got this washer looking thing. It's got a cone shape that goes over top of the spring. You got 2 ball bearings. Push your spring and your washer down, and then push your bearings into those little holes there on the side. Just like that. And then take your cap, push that over top of that, and then you've got 2 of these little clamps that go down on there. The first one holds this down. Get it past that first little hole. Here we go. I think got it. And I'm gonna push it down till it clicks to the second line. There it is. So that's installed, and then the second one is going to hold your little rubber cap on there. And that's it. And we could start putting the rest of it back together. There we go. And then that just pushes down over top of that. It's probably the hardest part of the whole thing, putting that thing back on there. Work it around. There it is. Next, the armature goes in there like so. Just give her a little twist, and then you've got two little screws that hold it on there on both sides of it. One here and one there. Then we can take this part, slide it into the armature's housing like so. Got that in there, and then you got your really long screws. Go ahead and put those in there. Okay, now you're ready to install the brushes on it. Had these little silver ones, and we're down to the 10 torques on that. And then we're going to tuck our wires back where they came from, because we're all finished with this. Okay, I didn't have to mess with the switch or any of this wiring up here. So the only thing left is the handle. Get these tightened down. If it doesn't run, you'll never see this video, but I guess since you've watched this much of it, most likely it's going to work.